Hey guys, welcome to Blocktology, and today I'm going to show you this pretty interesting villager holding cell. It's pretty convenient. It lets you hold villagers and easily get them in and out of the holding cell with just the press of a button. It's based on the design from Unarybit, and he's got that set up where you can collect villagers using minecarts using the system you see right there behind me. So yeah, let's go ahead and get into it. Alright guys, first let me show you how this thing works. So here pretend we have some villagers that came from, say, your villager breeder system over here, connected by a water elevator that drops them off right into this single, 1 by 2 or 3 block volume area. And we have some minecarts in here, and we press this button and it'll pick a villager using Unarybit's system, and then go ahead and carry it over here. And based upon some of the state of this holding cell, the villager will appear right here. So let's go ahead and see that in action. Here we go. Okay, as you can see, the villager is placed right into the holding cell, and you can interact with him. You can trade, do whatever you got to do to unlock him, whatever you're going to do, and the experience will come through here using a slab. It's one of the improvements of this design. And I like to put a sign on front so you can mark it, whatever he's selling and stuff like that. And then this button here will send the villager on the output rail system. Maybe you're moving him to another location, or you don't want this villager, you got a better one somewhere after you unlocked him, or you want to move him into your Iron Golem farm, or you want to put him as a farmer on your automatic farm vegetation area. So if I press this button right now, a minecart will come and pick him up and take him away to the output rail system. So there we go. And if you noticed, both getting in and getting out, you didn't hear any of the villager sounds of taking damage. That's because these glass blocks act as transparent blocks, which don't hurt things as they go through them, although they do collide with stuff, so it's kind of confusing that way. So that's how it works. If you notice here, I built another one right next to it, and so these are stackable. You can just build them right next to each other, immediately next to each other. And you can do anything you want with this output rail system. You can extend it on top of this rail and continue that way, and hook it up to a bunch of different Y switches and stuff, so you can send them in different directions. And this is the input system here. Now if you notice, when there is a villager in here, this rail will switch and allow to go to the next available holding cell. So let me go ahead and put another villager in here, and you'll see that this will switch to the other direction so that it'll turn into a curve. So let's go ahead and see that. So here comes the villager, goes around, and it switches. So that means that the next villager will go automatically to the next available holding cell. And very much like a sorting system, you can end up with some overflow out here. So if I were to go ahead and bring another villager, that guy would end up going into what you might consider the overflow. And so this guy, there's no room for him now automatically in the system, and he ends up in the overflow area. So let's kind of push him out of the way. Now let's pretend for a moment that I go back up here, and let's choose the first one again, saying, I don't like this guy, so let's go ahead and get rid of him. And say, okay, we have a new guy that we want to put in there and evaluate him. So let's go ahead and put this new guy in, and if you notice, he'll go right into that new available slot. And that's what's nice about these things, is they stack in that sense. And it's very convenient to use. If you notice, I'm just pressing buttons right here. I don't have to pop villagers out of minecarts. I don't have to push them around. I can just get them to go where I want them to go. So let's get into it, and I'll show you how to build one of these things. Just giving myself a reference point, and that reference point is kind of the place where you'll be walking up to and interacting with the villager. So that would just be 2 stairs up with a slab floor. Let's go ahead and extend this out. Doesn't really, this can go for however long you want it to go for. Alright, and then let's go ahead and make the location where we will be interacting with the villager. So let's put a block there and a slab as like a countertop. Oops, and there we go. Okay. So the reason why the half slab is there is because the villager will be standing right here on this block, and as you're interacting with him, any XP will flow through there. That way you don't miss out on that XP there. Okay. This line of blocks is where we'll be putting a pressure plate here and running some redstone down to control that turn in the track I showed you earlier based on whether a villager is here or not. This second set of blocks here will have a track going up that will go into a hopper cactus kind of setup. So we'll need to put the dispenser here, a block to support the sand, cactus, and let's get some glass because we'll be using some glass later on. We won't need any more sand. Put some glass on top to stop that from growing. Put our hopper in there. Alright, so this is the general setup. The track will come up here, activator rail, and based upon all the glass surrounding the villager, it gives him no choice but to end up here. And the cart continues on, hits the cactus, and goes into the hopper and into the dispenser, which we will connect to the button soon. Alright. Now we're going to need a redstone block back here, and a block. This block will be right below the button block up there. That way it'll capture the button press. This is needed later on for a powered rail. Okay, so we're looking good so far. Now, I said earlier that there's going to be I'm definitely going to need some glass, so we won't need that. There's a pressure plate here for when the villager is standing here, which controls that track I showed you earlier. So it's going to run that line down, and we're going to need to break a few blocks here, and we're going to need to replace this with a half slab. The reason for that is, and it's better to show you from the side, is we need to continue the redstone line down, and the half slab allows us to connect the redstone. See how it's still connected? If you were to put a solid block right here, it breaks that connection. Okay, so you need to make sure that this is a slab of any kind, and that will maintain the redstone line that we need to use to control the switch track, which will end up right about right here. Okay, so we'll come back to that later. So we're just kind of outlining everything we have right now. Let's go ahead and put that button in over here. It can be any kind of button, wood or stone. You can put it here if you want, put it there, either way. Alright. And this button basically needs to be connected to this dispenser, and we'll do that a little later on. Let's go ahead and put some track in right now so we can kind of visualize how all this will work. We're going to need some activator rail, some regular rail, and some powered rail. Okay. Alright, so here's the input rail track coming in. So the input comes in, and we need some powered rail to boost the villager up into where the activator rail is going to trip him, which is right here. So he's going to be in a minecart, and once he hits this activator rail, it's going to pop him out of the minecart, and due to the way we're going to place the glass later on, he's going to have no choice but to land right here. The rest of this can be regular rail right into the cactus, which will pick up the minecart automatically and put it into that dispenser. To power this rail, we're going to use some torches. So let's go ahead and grab some torches. We don't need any dispensers anymore, and that'll power that. Now let's kind of just get this set up here so we can force the situation so that there's a curve in this track. Okay, so this would be your input line. This would be coming from your villager, breeder, or anywhere where you're producing villagers. or you just want to feed it back in. I'll show you that later on. But this is where the villagers would arrive into your holding cell area. And remember I said you can stack these right next to each other. And this is what we need to control. We need to control this switch track, and whether it's going to be allowing the villager to go into here or when he needs to move on and go to the next available holding cell. So we want this track to be facing the way it is right now because this is empty. And so in order to affect that track, we are going to need to place down more redstone and kind of get in there. And I'm just going to keep using the sandstone since it blends in, but of course this can be any block. And let's go ahead and put the sandstone in there, and boom. So now I will say one thing here. This depends on the direction that you're building this in. You know, you can build it this way, you could build one on the other side over here, you could build it this way or this way. So you need to be mindful of the orientation of the tracks because they matter. I can't remember all the rules. But let's go ahead and test this right now. Let's see, if I stand on here, okay, that sends if you imagine a new villager coming in, it would continue down there because I'm standing here. I'm a villager. I'm taking up this holding cell. Now if the villager was off, it would allow the villager to come up. So we have it set up correctly right now with that torch down there. Now you can go ahead and cover this back up. You don't have to leave it this way. So you can go ahead and cover that back up, and that's fine. You just can't cover this up. And even though that looks black in there, don't worry, the redstone's still connected. Alright, let's go ahead and just continue this while we're here. This is our input line. And so this would keep continuing and go into the next cell. It would have another branch off of here. We're going to need a redstone block here, and we just need to place a slab right here. Okay, and we even could go one higher. Let me go ahead and get my iron blocks back. Okay, and there we go. Now I'll show you later on why this is a slab. It's kind of important, but yeah, just keep that a slab for right now. Okay. Now we have the villager taken care of when he's coming in, but what about when we need to get him out of here? Oh, by the way, one more thing. This needs to be powered at all times. Now there's a couple ways to do that. You can put a redstone block here, or you can just put a torch down there. So this can be powered at all times. Doesn't need to be switched on or off. Just let it be powered so that when the minecart comes up, it'll kick him out. So let's go ahead and get this ready to go. Now this part is a little bit tricky, so you really need to pay attention. So first we need to place down a powered rail coming out of here, powered rail there, I'm sorry, regular rail there, and a powered rail here. Okay, now don't worry about that, that'll kind of fix itself. Now you got to take that off. There we go. Okay, so just make sure that this is like a loop right here. You might have to break this track off to get that to realize it needs to go that way. Now you'll notice that this is going into that block, which makes no sense. So we need to get this to raise up. So the way we do that is we got to come over here, place powered rail and a regular rail, and if you notice, that raises that track up right there. I'll show you from that other angle over there. So we need to loop around here and go up and up. Okay, and then we actually want to come out one more block. Alright, and this is basically the output rail system. Let's go ahead and put a powered block here, a regular, and a powered, and then this. And then you can extend this as far as you need it to go. Now it's very important that you come out 2 blocks, because if you build one more of these holding cells right next to this thing, what's going to happen is this cactus is going to be at the same level as this block right here. So if you continued this like this, you would put a block next to the cactus, and then the cactus would break. So that's why you have to come out 2 blocks and then make your turn. So this is what we call the output track. This is when you say, when you press the button, you say, I don't want this villager anymore, and you can decide what you want to do on this track, where you want them to go, based on the end of it. So this is mostly what we need. Now there's one more thing we need to do to make sure that this is working correctly, and this is all about how the minecarts work and picking things up. We need to actually remove this temporarily, place a track so this track lifts up, then put the pressure plate back. Now let's go back down here. So that's important right here. If you look down here, this has to be facing up into that block and looped around like that. And then this has to be this way so that when the minecart comes up, it'll come up through that block, pick up the villager, then slide down. Okay? So that's pretty important. You can see this is still working. So everything's powered right now. The nice thing about this right here, it's powering this, these 2 powered rails, and the activator all at once. The reason why these 2 are powered rails is so that when this dispenser is activated, you want that minecart having enough momentum to come out here, make it around a turn, turns take away momentum, and then push it up through these blocks and get them up to pick the villager. Then you want to make sure that minecart keeps moving, and this powered rail will ensure that. Then of course you got gravity going down, so you can use a regular, and you can only turn with a regular, and then you need to boost them all the way back up to get them out on the output track. So most of the basics are in place right now. It's looking pretty good. Now let's go ahead and hook up this button right here. So what we need to do is, underneath the block that we have the button on up there, we need to put some redstone on top, come down, and we need to break open 2 blocks right here, and come down and break open another block. Now we might need to get rid of this temporarily while we do this work. So we need to break this and this, and basically keep extending. And see, this block is powering the redstone. We can't have that, so we got to come up like that. Okay? So as long as you can get that power over to this block facing into this block, that'll turn this dispenser on and off. So let's go ahead and give that a test. Let's get a minecart here. We'll put 1 minecart in there. So if we go back up there, and you know what, I can just put a button right here for right now. Let's go ahead and do that. Nice and easy. So here we go. So let's go make sure this minecart comes out. Let's fix this as well. Sandstone block. Okay. Keeps all the redstone is still connected. Good. We just need our regular rail. Okay, and then that messes that up again, so just go ahead and redo that. You know this is Minecraft, you got to do things more than once. So there we go. Okay, let's go and make sure that works. There we go. Perfect. Alright, so get rid of that button there. Alright, so that's what will get that going. You might be able to change this out to be a half slab, and might be able to shorten this a little bit. So now we have the button connected to the dispenser. We have the rail in place that will do the kicking the villager out and placing him right here. We have the pressure plate that will control whether or not the cart should allow the villager to come through or not. And pretty much the last thing we got to do is place the glass. So pretty much what you want to do is you just want to place glass almost everywhere you possibly can on this thing. And so right now I'm just holding shift down, and I'm placing glass anywhere I can pretty much place glass. And you want to go up 1, 2, yeah, you want to go up 3 levels of glass. Then I like to put a little oops, little cap on the top there, like that. Okay, and you can even put one right there. Okay, then over here also make sure you put some glass in. This is to basically give the game no option other than to place the villager exactly where we want him to go, which is right over this countertop right there, right on top of that pressure plate. Alright, now it looks like everything's in place. This should be a functional holding cell, so let's give it a try. So let's get a villager spawning thing, and let's get a minecart. Okay, so let's place a minecart, and you know what, it's actually easier if you place the villager, place the minecart. Okay, so let's see if we can get him to go in there. There we go. Alright, so he should be going there. You might want to put some more powered rail in there. Okay, and that didn't quite work. And we're back. Okay, I think I know what I did. Okay. So definitely need that, and like that. Okay, so let's try that again. There we go. So the key is, I'll break this down for you guys so you can see it better. Okay. So what you want is a layer of glass, you know, at head level, and then go up 2 more levels, so a total of 3 levels of glass. And leave this tube right here, this whole space up to there, it's got to be empty. Okay, then come down 2 so you can still use him. Alright, so let's go get rid of him. Alright, and now let's try it again. Villager, track, cart, go. And notice how this immediately switched so that the next guy would go down there. And we should have actually quite a few carts in here right now. Okay, so let's go ahead and test our wooden button. Make sure all our track is facing the right way. Looks good. Alright, there we go. Alright guys, so hopefully you enjoyed that. You know, leave a like if you thought this was a good video, if you learned something, and I just got myself stuck in a hole. But, you know, yeah, so let me know if you guys build this or if you improve it in any way, and hopefully, you know, you guys can make use of this in your survival world. Let me get out of here real quick. Ow. Okay. And you can build one more right next to it, right here. So you follow the exact same pattern, and the next one would begin actually right there. Right, because you go in 2, yeah. So you do the whole thing all over again right here. And it does stack correctly. Nothing interferes with anything. Oh, and let me tell you later, let me say why this is now, you can understand why this would need to be a half slab, I mentioned later, is when the villager's going down this track, and he's going over here, when he makes this right turn, he sometimes hits into this, and if it's a solid block, he actually takes damage. I've heard him take damage. So you just want to make sure that's a half slab so you won't get hurt. You don't want your villagers getting hurt. You never know, if you hurt them too many times, you know, you might end up killing them. So keep your villagers healthy, and they'll treat you good. So I like always to make sure that almost on every turn that there's a powered rail. Keeps the momentum moving really well. So yeah, even one more right here if you really think you need that. And yeah, so there you go guys. So yeah, you should be able to build this right next to him. Let me go and show you real fast. Okay, so you can actually see it in this survival world. You can see that I have a whole bunch of these built with villagers currently in them, and here's my holding area. So here you go. So you can build them right next to each other, just like that. Yep. So leave a like, guys, if you enjoyed this video. I know I already said that once, and definitely let me know if you use it and what you think about it. Alright guys, see you next time. Bye!